Hey everyone, Brent Insider here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me, and welcome to a special review for an album that most of you, if like me, have been waiting for 52 years. I'm talking about the original Shock Rockers reuniting Alice Cooper group to release The Revenge of Alice Cooper. This is their 8th studio album, and as I said, first in 52 years since the Muscle of Love album. So just released on July 25th of 2025. I'm going to do a full review, an unboxing of this album right here. I can't wait to do that with you guys. We'll get into it in just a bit, but before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this with a review for the brand new Alice Cooper album, The Revenge of Alice Cooper. So I want to jump back a little bit just to set the mood, set the context, because we're talking about a band that hasn't recorded a new album in 52 years. Thing is, it's actually Alice Cooper, the artist. It's actually his 30th album, but it's only the 8th album from the band. So they formed in 68. There was Vincent Furnier, who would later take on the Alice Cooper name, Glenn Buxton on guitar, Michael Bruce on guitar, Dennis Dunaway on bass, and Neil Smith on drums. And the original band released 7 studio albums between 1969 and 1973, with their greatest success coming in 73 with Billion Dollar Babies. This was their 6th studio album at the time, and it had all kinds of classic hits on it. It would go to #1 in the US, #1 in the UK, songs like Elected, Hello Hooray, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and of course the title track on it. One of my favorites off the album is actually the deep cut, I Love the Dead. Whenever they perform that, fantastic. I think it just always goes down a storm. But the band would record one more album, Muscle of Love, 1973, before everyone would split to go do solo projects. But of course, with Alice Cooper, the man, who has the same name as the band, his solo album, which was Welcome to My Nightmare, would be more successful than anyone else's. And at that point, moving ahead and continuing on. And so the band itself wouldn't regroup until 2015 when they played a surprise show for the release of Dennis Dunaway's book. We later got this live album here from it, which also has a Blu-ray. If you didn't know about that, you can pick that up. And they would record sporadically going forward. First, in 2017 on Paranormal, they released 2 tracks, Genuine American Girl and You and All of Your Friends, off of this. It was part of the bonus disc that was on there. Then on Detroit Stories, they recorded 2 more songs, Social Debris and I Hate You. And now here we are in 2025, 52 years after Muscle of Love, we get The Revenge of Alice Cooper. So let's talk about this. As I said, it is the 8th studio album for the band and 30th overall for Alice Cooper, the man. Certainly congratulations to him on that. What a feat to have 30 studio albums of original material under your belt like that. 14 new songs on this album. It's produced again by Bob Ezrin. He produced 4 of their classic albums from back in the day. Love It to Death in 1971, Killer also 1971, School's Out in 72, and the all-time classic Billion Dollar Babies in 73. And there is a limited edition, deluxe edition version of this album that comes in a box with a shirt, a poster, and a 7-inch that has 2 additional tracks on it. Titanic Over Underture, which is off of Pretty's For You, and The Return of the Spiders 2025 edition off of Easy Action. Those, as I hear, are bonus tracks at the end. They're hidden tracks all the way at the end on the CD. But initially, we were all led to believe they were only available on that 7-inch. So I am glad to say they are on the CD. Now, all 5 original members appear on this album here. So we're back with Alice Cooper on here, Dennis Dunaway, Neil Smith, Michael Bruce, even Glenn Buxton makes an appearance on here. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1997, so he's only on 1 track, but very cool to get him on here. Now, Alice, he's 77 years old. or young, depending upon how you want to think about it. I kind of think he's going to live forever. He's just one of those artists that seems to go on and on. And he's also one of those artists who I think actually gets, or his voice really gets better with age. He continues to sound more and more like himself. Where other artists, the more aged they get, their vocals don't sound right, but it just works for Alice Cooper on here. And all the hallmarks of that classic era are present on this album. And it sort of picks up where the album The Road from 2023 leaves off. This album was a no-frills, straight-ahead rock and roll kind of album recorded with his Road band. That's where the title comes from on this. And it really picks up, and that's what this is, a no-frills, straight-ahead rock and roll album. But I think even better than The Road. And so this one has more of the horror element to it and lyrical content than previous Alice Cooper albums in a long time. Singing about spiders, flies, monsters, blood, you name it, it's on here. We've got nothing too flashy. It all really fits together very well. Of particular note, I want to say that the drums and the bass really stand out on this. Neil Smith, Dennis Dunaway do an amazing job on here. And in Glenn Buxton's absence, we got some additional guitar parts that are played by Gayesi Hoos, and I apologize if I butchered that name, Rick Tedesco. Then we also get Robbie Krieger from The Doors playing lead guitar on Black Mamba. And then, of course, Glenn Buxton, as I said, does appear on one of the songs, What Happened to You. So we even get him. We do get all 5 original guys appearing on this album. A number of the songs start one way and then kind of grow into a whole other thing, which I think really keeps this album overall very interesting. It's sort of a breath of fresh air as the different changes occur on these songs. It keeps you guessing right until the very end. Some of the stuff is just straight ahead, but other ones build. It's like Black Mamba. If you've heard that one, you know what I'm talking about already. Lots of variety on this album. None of the songs really sound like Alice Cooper band songs, meaning they're not rehashing what he's already done. They sound fresh. They sound like the band is taking some chances on what they're doing, but at the same time, it's all in the wheelhouse of what would be expected. And I'm really happy about that. It's got those hallmarks, so you hear the guitar flair and the different things on it and the way that Alice sings, and it sounds exactly like you would want 1970s era Alice Cooper, but at the same time, it's not just ripping stuff off. You're not listening to it going, oh, sounds like that. And I really appreciate that about this album here. There's typical tongue-in-cheek humor from Alice Cooper on it, like track number 8, Famous Faces. I really like this one. It's very subtle. It's like it was back in the day. Some of the later era stuff that Alice did seemed to kind of hit me over the head, trying to say like, hey, did you get it? And I appreciate the more subtle nature that this album has taken here. We get songs that... one song, I should say, everything's written by the band, but one song on here, track number 13, I Ain't Done Wrong, is written by Keith Relf of the Yardbirds, and that appeared on their album For Your Love. That's the only one I think I would leave off, probably because it just doesn't fit. I think I would have been fine with 13 songs of straight Alice Cooper band written material, but I know it's from the era, and that's cool that it's here. And then there's also some real retro rockers on this one, like track number 9, Money Screams, with its doo-wop harmonizing vocals and everything. But since we're talking about songs already, let's go ahead and move into standout tracks on here. So coming in, track number 2, Wild Ones. This was actually the second single. It's a very rockin' song. It's kind of got the, it's a little different to it than I should say. The album opens with the slower, slinkier sounds of Black Mamba, but then this one here really comes in and gets things going. I think it was a perfect choice to be a track number 2. Track number 6, Blood on the Sun. This one here sort of begins as a ballad and you're not entirely sure where it's going. But in the end, when it kicks in, it actually sounds like it could have been from The Doors. Then we've got track 7, Crap That Gets in the Way of Your Dreams. It's sort of a whiny, snotty sounding song with a punk edge to it. And again, this is one that comes off and it's got sort of the feel of like the Kinks to it. And you can see where this is going. They're really leaning in on that late 60s era sounding style, which is really what they were part of when they were first coming out. Track 10, What a Sid. Campy style, it works so well. This is another one that I could have easily heard the Doors doing. Track 12, What Happened to You? This one features Glenn Buxton on it. So they use a template that Glenn had for a song before his passing in 1997. They've all worked and written on this song here, and it's definitely one of the best songs on the album. It's another real rockin' song, and I like the added piano on this one. And then track 14, See You on the Other Side. It's a great way to close out the album. Just, lets the whole album, wind off the right way. And I have to say, it's a great one here, but I just hope that it isn't the last time that we hear from the Alice Cooper band, or much less Alice Cooper, but a great way to roll things out. So let's take a look at this. Here's the front cover of it. It's classic Alice Cooper. I love this sort of artwork, the old movie style poster feel to this. The cover is a paper cover. It's matte, so it's not shiny. I like that a lot about this. We open it up here, and we got the stuff that's on the inside, just, production notes and whatnot. Little bit of art that's happening behind that. I want to go back to this real quick. Again, just the way that they write the names on that, everything about this is just very cool. Thing is, we've got the booklet here, and I do like this in comparison. This is a little bit busy. This is kind of just enough right there. This is almost maybe a little better. I don't know which one I like better, but I do appreciate that. Here we have this. The booklet too is done in the paper, and then the images of everyone is essentially the same as the art that's on the front. So we never actually get a band shot, which I have to say I'm a little bit bummed about, because I would have liked to have seen everybody present day sitting around in a room with Bob Ezrin recording, that sort of thing. But, all in all, these guys are up there. Alice, 77, I get it. They want to look their best. So no photos of the guys in here. Now, bottom line, on this album here, I never thought it would happen that we would get a new album 52 years on from the Alice Cooper band. Additionally, I never thought Alice Cooper would release 30 studio albums. So really getting that, and then for Alice, that's 56 years that he's been doing this, from the band, then solo. So really, this is a celebration on all fronts. This album here is so good. It's just genuinely a great album. And it's not just a good album. I really think it is a great album. This thing holds up next to the first 7 albums that they recorded. I easily feel fine having this all together. It just has better production on it. So the stuff that was recorded back then has that style of production, but the song structure, the sound of it, all of that sort of stuff, I think fits so nicely with the original stuff. So it doesn't sound out of place. It's one of those albums that having all the hallmarks that you want, but sounding fresh at the same time. So it may have taken 52 years for us to get this new album here, but I think it was worth the wait. Long live Alice Cooper, long live the Alice Cooper Band. And there you go. That's my album review of The Revenge of Alice Cooper from Alice Cooper. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this here. If you've chosen to pick this album up, let me know your thoughts on it. I've already been hearing through the grapevine, a lot of people out there are enjoying this album a lot. Hopefully it's going to have long legs and do a lot of great things for not only Alice Cooper, but everyone else. And if we get lucky, maybe we're going to see the Alice Cooper group go on tour. I really hope so. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.